Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Yoga for the Nervous System. My name is Jodi. For those of you I haven't met before, I'm really glad that you could make it. So, my background is as a yoga instructor and a social worker, and the tools and strategies that I'm teaching today are some of my favorites as a neurodivergent trauma survivor who is highly sensitive. I often am in a position where I'm needing to attend to my nervous system, whether that's by supporting myself in downregulating, which I could use right now because I'm excited and nervous and teaching the class, or upregulating and getting myself going. And so these are tools that are tried and tested by both myself and some of the folks that I work with. With that being said, different tools work for different people. So this is really the intent is just to give an overview of different potential strategies you may want to use and just relying on yourself to attune to your own nervous system and notice what it is you like, what it is you might need more of, and to just bring that sense of curiosity to the practice and to sort of take note for yourself. That particular breath technique helped me ground or calm, or oh, that back bend really helped energy flow, it helped activate. Just to get curious and notice. Today, the theme is grounding. And so we will be focusing on using the ground as a resource. The idea with this, with grounding, as many of you are familiar, when we are overwhelmed or stressed or anxious, when we're activated, we tend to get fixated on the past or to become really fixated and anxious about the future. And grounding is this idea of really returning to the present moment, returning to the body. And connection with the ground is a very powerful resource for this. For many folks, grounding into the feet is one of the more resonant cues of safety. And so we'll be experimenting with that, with feeling our feet on the ground throughout the duration of the practice. And the idea of titration is that we want to notice uncomfortable sensations, but we are in control. We can move our awareness away and return. So if there is ever an emotional trigger or an association that arises in class, as it will often, right, throughout our day, throughout our many activities, titration is a practice of attending to it, but knowing when you need to move your awareness away. So choosing what you focus on, your anchor. So it might be that, oh, I felt a wave of grief when I was doing chest opening, and I can attend to that for a moment and then feel my feet on the ground. Notice something in the room I find comforting. It's moving our awareness to that point and away in a way that helps us feel agency and control. And so for each and every practice, it's an invitation. You can keep your camera off, you can turn it on, you can speed the movement up, you can slow it down, you can change it all together. I really will celebrate you taking care of yourself in this space. And though we're moving towards stillness, often slowing down and being still, it can be quite uncomfortable when we're used to such a fast pace and the fast nature of the world we live in. And so I just want to name that. If it feels like you need to move, even if we're in a still posture, you can absolutely find a way of even just moving your hands and feet or shifting to find comfort for yourself, adding something to it. Okay. And so with that said, we will begin with a grounding practice now, taking a moment to find a comfortable seat. We're going to begin the extended exhale. So with the extended exhale, we're beginning to draw our breath in slow and deep, and then let the exhale be long and slow. And as we do this, we'll take this moment to land in the space we're in. You can take a look around you for a moment, feel your feet on the ground, and continue to take long, slow breaths, allowing the exhale to be slow and complete so all air is emptying from the lungs. And we'll do that 3 more times. That long, slow inhale, long, slow exhale. But now beginning to invite the body to settle with gravity into the support of the ground with the exhale. So that when we inhale, we might feel a slight lift. And as we exhale, we might feel a gentle settling, even a slight softening into the support of the ground, seeing if we can feel that support beneath us. Now we'll begin to move, starting in a seated sequence, sun breath, just raising the hands slowly up overhead and then lowering them down to your sides. Our gaze moves up towards the ceiling and then back down towards the ground. And seeing if we can keep this long, slow exhale and this sense of the ground beneath us, that we're moving with the support of the ground beneath. Beginning to check in, noticing how the shoulders, the neck are feeling. And then with our next lift, we'll lift our arms up halfway, palms towards the ceiling, and take a moment to gently lift the chin and open the chest and take a long, slow inhale, feeling this opening across the front of the shoulders. And then with an exhale, tucking your chin and crossing one arm over the other, finding your shoulders with your hands and slowly rolling forward. Breathing into the back body, the area between the shoulder blades. And we'll do that twice more, slowly rolling back up, opening our arms out to either side, gently lifting the chin, and then crossing one arm over the other, tucking the chin, rolling forward. When we come back up, we'll meet with the arms extended and prepare for a seated twist, slowly turning the chest to the left, letting the right hand rest on the outer right thigh. Shoulders relax, the left hand supports us behind the body, and we gaze over the left shoulder. And seeing if we can keep that slow, deep breath, that sense of the feet, the lower body supported by the ground. Knowing you can always come out early, maybe staying in this seated twist for one more breath. And then slowly coming back to center, taking a moment in center, and then repeating on the other side, turning the chest to the right, left hand on the outer right thigh, right hand supporting behind you. And we're gazing over the shoulder behind us, letting the shoulders relax, letting the lower body relax into the support of the chair. And then slowly coming back to center. We'll take a moment in center to do a hand gesture, just if you would like. It could be both hands over the chest or one hand over the chest, one hand over the abdomen. To take one last moment in a seated position to turn inward and just notice at the beginning of the practice how you're feeling, seeing if we can get curious about that. As little judgment as possible, just noticing your emotional state, your physical state, your mental state. And this will be our baseline. We'll return to check in at the end of practice and notice what's shifted. So just observing, finding again that long, slow breath, that full, long exhale to release slightly into the support of the ground. And as you notice where you're at in this moment, you can, if you would like, set an intention for this time today. You've carved out this time in your day, which is a wonderful thing to do. It's a gift for your own nervous system. Just maybe take a moment to set an intention. What is it that you need? What is it that would feel particularly good for you or that you're looking for today? And then releasing that inward focus, turning your awareness out to the room around you again, and taking a moment to do an intuitive wake up stretch. Anything that would feel good in your body. As I'm going to slowly move towards the mat. And so I have a blanket set up in the middle of my mat here as extra support for my knees. So if you have any knee sensitivity or inflammation, that can be quite nice as an additional support. And I have blocks within reach. And so I'm settling into a tabletop position, my hands beneath my shoulders, my knees beneath my hips, preparing to move into cat and cow. Just gentle warming of the spine. For cow, we drop the belly, open the chest, gently lift the head. For cat, we round the spine, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin. And at your own rhythm, just beginning to move between those two. Again, with this curiosity, how is my spine feeling? Allowing this undulating movement through the spine and unblock and support circulation. We're just going to allow that for a moment between cat and cow, lingering in one or the other, if that feels supportive to you. And then beginning to experiment, maybe with a side bend, knees and hips towards one another on one side, then slowly coming back through center to the other side. Noticing how it feels to find length in the side body in this way. And then seeing if you would like to circle the rib cage, a slow circling undulation in one direction and then the other. And then as you're ready, bringing the toes together, letting your knees spread out to either side of the mat. We'll take a moment to settle into an extended child's pose, letting our hips release towards the ankles, hands extending out in front. Our head releases towards the mat. You can support the head with a block or with your forearms. And just take a moment to notice that this forward fold is an inward focused, calming, soothing posture. And just remember that you can return to this at any time you would like in the practice. Settling into child's pose just for one more breath, breathing into the back, noticing that opening in the lower back in this posture. And then slowly coming back out, we'll take a moment to find downward dog. So tucking our toes and then lifting the knees off the mat, hips towards the ceiling and slightly back. We lengthen our arms and we can keep our knees bent. Maybe experiment with bending one knee at a time, lengthening through the back of the legs, finding that inverted V shape. And then at your own rhythm, moving between downward dog and child's pose. Once or twice, just noticing how that feels to move downward, turn inward, and then slowly lift yourself up with the support of the ground, pressing into the ground to raise the body, finding that inversion, lingering there if you would like. Just noticing which your body seems to prefer in this moment, whether you're wanting to keep moving or stay still in one or the other. And then for 3 more breaths, choosing where you want to be, to linger. And then slowly walking the feet towards the hands. We'll meet in a forward fold. Take a full breath in a forward fold, releasing the head towards the support of the ground, keeping the knees bent if you would like. Can help release the lower back. And then with the legs engaged, the thighs slightly engaged, we'll slowly roll up, reaching the arms out to either side and then up above you for a full body extension, stretching the hands towards the ceiling, pressing the feet into the ground, finding length throughout the body, and then releasing the hands out to either side. We'll take a moment just to swing the arms from side to side, let the upper body melt as much as it will. Taking a moment to invite fluidity and release any tension in the shoulders. Looking over one shoulder and then the other. And then coming back to center. Blocks aren't necessary for this next movement, but you can absolutely use them if you would like. I quite like blocks because they bring the ground up towards you. It can create some comfort and ease in forward folds and leaning into them or reaching towards the ground. And so as we take a moment just in standing mountain pose, we'll notice the support of the ground beneath us. Notice the feet on the ground, all 4 corners of the feet supporting us. Let your shoulders relax away from the ears. And just for a moment, get curious. In the way you're standing, do you feel like you're slightly collapsed? Like there's not very much tone in your arms or legs, or maybe it actually feels quite muscular and almost like over effort, straining. And we really want somewhere in between. We want our thigh muscles slightly engaged, our shoulders relaxed, feeling in the hands so they're not hanging limply. We can feel our fingertips. We can notice the flow of our breath. So finding that middle path between tension and ease, even in mountain, slightly contracting the abdomen to support the spine. And from here, we'll slowly raise the arms up to either side, overhead, and then fold forward into a forward fold, perhaps supported by the blocks, letting our hands land on the blocks, bending the knees and allowing the upper body to release. And if you feel comfortable, it can be quite helpful to give the head a little shake, releasing the jaw by opening your mouth and moving it side to side. And remembering, especially these these more unusual somatic exercises can feel a little silly, but why not let it be playful? You can make a little sound. Nobody's going to hear it. You'll just hear mine, for better or for worse. So maybe taking a few big sighs as you release forward. And then again, this idea of pressing into the ground, rooting to rise up, slowly extending the arms up overhead, and then returning to a forward fold. And we'll do this twice more, moving at your own rhythm. This is one of my favorite regulation practices. If I need to downregulate and I don't have a lot of time, even 5 minutes of moving between these two, this upright extension and this low forward fold of release, surrender towards the ground, can be quite helpful in coming back to center, a sense of yourself. And so when you've done your last repetition, we'll meet in a forward fold. And then from forward fold, with the breath, if you would like, we'll extend the spine, halfway lift, and then slowly fold again, bending the knees. So this time we're not coming all the way up. We're just bringing the spine to be parallel with the ground, chin tucked, noticing that length in the spine, and then bending the knees, lowering again. We'll just do that twice more, moving at your own rhythm. And then when you're ready, slowly coming back up to standing, I'm bringing the blocks with me. I'm going to move them to the head of my mat. And so we're in the more activating phase of our sequence. It won't last much longer, but this is where our movements will get energy flowing and pick up our energy. There is a little sympathetic activation, but hopefully in a way that's helpful to us. But just remember, if you need to slow it down, you can absolutely come back to child's pose. I again have that blanket in the middle of my mat for my knees to rest on when it comes to that. I'm in mountain at the front of my mat. I'm going to bend my knees, give my body a little bounce, feel that movement, take a full breath, and then step my right foot back so I'm in a high lunge. My front knee is over the ankle, and we can experiment here with bending the back leg. That will be less of a stretch in the hips, but for some folks that's quite supportive. And just find your sense of the ground supporting the body. So we gently bend and then extend the leg, finding what works for you as your legs exert this effort. And then taking a moment, and if it feels good to you, you can lift your hands up overhead and then exhale and bring them into a cactus shape, bent at 90-degree angles on either side of the body, opening across the chest, and add a little bit of a back bend, so make it more activating. And bringing the hands back to center. You can flow the hands forward to the blocks if that's helpful as we step the back foot forward. Come back to a standing position and take a moment just to notice how that landed in the body, in the hips. We'll take a moment just to gently circle the hips as if drawing circles around the pelvic bowl. One direction, And then the other. About 5 times. And then coming back to standing and repeating on the other side. Left foot steps back. We find our high lunge on this side. Begin that gentle experimentation of bending and extending the back leg, making sure for safety our right knee is over our right ankle. And then when and if you're up for it or ready, you can lift your hands overhead and then down into that cactus shape, opening across the chest, adding a slight back bend, looking up towards the ceiling. Nice big inhale as you open across the front of the chest. And then lifting the hands back up and stepping that back foot forward, coming to the front of your mat. And again, taking a moment just to circle the hips, maybe even a slight self-massage of just gently patting the hips. Anyone who has soreness on the outer hips, this is a great one for you. I love this. And then the other direction, gentle hip circles. Now we'll prepare to do a very similar movement, but coming into warrior one with that option to do a dynamic movement with the arms. And so a slight bend in the knees, we'll step the right foot back. And here, if it's better for your body, you can stay in a runner's lunge shape. Or if you would like, you can drop your heel, turn out your foot, and find that warrior one footing. Arms up in parallel lines to either side. And again, this sense of being supported by the ground, feeling that strength in your foundation. And adding, if you would like, a dynamic movement of the arms where we reach up and then down into that cactus arm opening and back up, inviting some space and movement in the chest, the front of the shoulders, as we have this slight back bend. And then letting your arms rest on your hips, taking a moment to adjust your back foot so that we're in runner's lunge again on our toes, then stepping it forward. And again, here we'll take a moment, but we'll just roll the shoulders this time, rolling the shoulders back, and then forward. These circular motions are quite helpful for lubricating the joints. And now we'll prepare to repeat on the other side, taking a moment to bounce the knees, balance at the front of the mat, and then when you're ready, stepping the left foot back, finding runner's lunge first. Then if you would like, dropping the ankle, foot turned out, arms up in parallel lines for warrior one. Feeling your weight distribute equally between the front and back leg, or maybe adjusting if it doesn't feel quite equal. And then as you're ready, maybe adding that dynamic arm movement, getting circulation flowing, blood flowing. And for some of us, these dynamic movements will feel much more comfortable, easier. And for some of us, they'll be more challenging. For some of us, the slower ones are our comfort zone. But it's really good to just have a balance of both types of movement. So coming to rest with the hands on the hips, turning the back feet back into that runner's lunge, and then stepping that back foot forward. We'll take a moment again for the shoulders. This time just one shoulder at a time, rolling back. Then one shoulder at a time, rolling forward. And then pausing in center, taking a moment again to find that feeling of being centered between the four corners of the feet, rooted. Then we'll step the right foot back again. And this time you have the option of staying in a high lunge or lowering the knee to the ground for a low lunge. So finding your preference. I love the support of a blanket or a yoga mat folded twice here. The lower lunge will be a deeper opening in the hips. And if you would like, you can add the arms up overhead and then extended behind you for a crescent lunge. Knowing that you can come out early or change, adjust as needed, giving yourself permission to make this work for your body. Slow, deep breaths. Noticing that support of the ground beneath you, your points of contact with it. And then slowly flowing the arms forward to the blocks or to the floor, coming up on your back toes and stepping that back foot forward. Taking a moment in forward fold. Nice long exhale. And then slowly rolling back up, taking a moment to let your awareness settle on your breath. Finding that long exhale. Noticing what you see in the room around you. Just getting curious. Is my mind wandering? Is it still in this space, in this practice? Just gently inviting it back to the body, to the support of the ground, the flow of your breath. And then as we're ready, one last lunge, the other side, stepping the left foot back. And again, making that choice between high lunge and a low lunge, knee on the ground, back of the foot flat on the floor. And then more choices, maybe adding a back bend, crescent lunge, hands up overhead and slightly behind you. Seeing if you can relax the shoulders away from the ears. Notice that opening in the left hip and pressing your feet into the ground to support the body in this shape. One more breath here. And then slowly flowing the upper body forward, coming into our lunge and then forward into a forward fold. Taking a moment again to gently shake out the head, maybe shake out the cheeks, maybe even the jaw. Ooh. And then bend the knees to slowly roll back up, arms overhead one last time, and down in front of the chest in prayer. Taking a full slow breath here, letting the body land back in an upright position. And we'll prepare to do a little bit of balance work. I'm going to move my blanket to the head of the mat where I'll use it to support my head and neck when we come to the ground shortly. We're getting there, almost on the more active phase. And so pressing the feet into the ground, coming to standing, going to experiment with balance first just by lifting the right knee and just finding through the body our center line, foot pressing into the ground, crown of the head lifting towards the ceiling. Seeing if we can relax our shoulders, relax the muscles of the face. Notice if there are parts of the body that are overworking. Invite them to soften. And then switching legs, trying on the other side. Just lifting the left knee to about a 90-degree angle. And if balancing is really challenging for any reason, I've been there. You can absolutely have a chair near you, or you can just have a touch point or be a little closer to the wall. So maybe adjusting for that as anything, letting it be a practice and evolve, knowing it can change from day to day, can really help to find a drishti, a point of focus visually. Releasing now the left leg, taking a moment to just turn the ankles one direction and the other. And we'll do one of the most well-known standing yoga postures, which I quite love, the tree pose. So now that we've got that sense of balance, we'll take a moment to ground through both feet, root through the left foot, and then place your right foot maybe against the ankle, like a little kickstand, maybe against the calf, or if you would like, against the inner thigh. Finding what works for you, rooting through the left foot, and slowly extending the arms out to either side. And can we feel that rootedness through the foot? Taking long, slow breaths here, maybe joining the hands overhead. I'll invite you to stay for 3 more breaths, but knowing if you come in and out of it, let it be playful. We're just working towards balance. The invitation here is to breathe up, inhaling into the body through the roots, extending deep from your foot. And when you exhale, releasing your breath deep into the ground through this sense of rootedness. Maybe visualizing your favorite tree. Then slowly releasing, taking a moment just to bend the knees, wiggle the hips, wiggle the shoulders, shake out the hands, let that go. Then we'll do the opposite side, grounding through the right foot, finding your focal point. Then the left foot comes up, maybe a kickstand, maybe against the calf, maybe against the thigh. Balance might be more challenging on this side. Finding the arm position that you would like, either out to either side or overhead. And again, this long, slow breath, this feeling of being rooted. If visualization supports your practice, maybe finding that gorgeous tree in your mind's eye, letting yourself be playful as you come in and out of it. 2 more breaths here. And then slowly releasing, taking a moment to roll the wrist, to roll the ankles, check in with your joints. Notice how they're doing and give yourself a little congratulations, you made it through the active part of the practice. I'm going to move the blocks off the mat. I've set this up, this blanket to support my head, as I mentioned. I'm going to put the bolster within reach so that I can use it under my knees at some point if I would like. But I'll put it on this side so you can still see me. And we're going to do a somatic practice now as we come to the ground that many of you have done with me before, where we do a gentle shake it out, somatic shaking. And so for this, you can let it be as large or as small as you'd like, as silly or as genuine. So essentially, we're just going to start shaking out the shoulders, shaking out the length of our arms, shaking out the hands. And then as you feel comfortable, allowing the head and the face, the jaw to join in, maybe even the hips, one leg and then the other. You can do one part of the body at a time or the whole body at once, releasing the physiological stress that we may be storing. We may have gotten it moving through the posture so far. So we're finding a sense of fluidity and giving the whole body a little shake. 2 more breaths. I'll invite you to do a little stomp as you move to the front and back of your mat. This idea of a full release. And then in your own way, at your own pace, coming to lie on your back or to the ground in a way that feels supportive to you. And finding again that feeling of the ground supporting the body. So we're fully landing here, maybe in a Shavasana type pose with the legs and arms extended, equal distance to either side, or constructive rest, which is my preference here. Knees leaning into one another, feet on either side of the mat with the legs bent. But wherever you find yourself, allowing after that release, the body to land on the ground. The head, the shoulders, the length of arms, the pelvis, the feet. Long, slow exhales to support your body landing. This moment of saying, good work, we did that sympathetic activation sequence. Now we're allowing the body to settle. Permission to rest. Seeing if you can find again that long, slow exhale, the extended exhale. Maybe even placing your hands over your low ribs if that would feel supportive. We'll take 3 more long, slow breaths here. And then staying on your back, the invitation now is to hug both knees into the chest and to very gently roll from side to side onto the outer hip and back to center. So give a little massage for your lower back. If it feels more comfortable, you can move ahead to the next movement, which will be to rock back and forth, a massage along the length of the spine, letting your legs be momentum, finding the rocking motion that works for you. And then using your momentum to come to a seat, maybe with a little support from the arms. We'll take a moment to extend the legs out in front of us to adjust so our sit bones are right against the mat, and take a moment to bounce your knees. A little massage for the calf muscles against the ground. And then finding staff pose with our hands pressed into the ground on either side of the hips. We'll open our shoulders, let the shoulders drop away from the ears, slightly tuck the chin, and lift the crown of the head towards the ceiling, lengthening the spine. And again, doing this check-in, am I overstraining? Are all of my muscles gripping, maybe more than they need to? Or am I sort of collapsing down and almost melting into the floor? I'm trying to find that middle path between the two where your tone is firm, but you're not overly gripping. You're relaxing the shoulders. You can feel your abdomen engaged, not overly rigid. And then from here, we're going to fold forward. And so keeping the spine long and straight, maybe walking the hands down the legs. We can hold the thighs, we can hold the calves, we can hold the feet. Your knees can remain bent, whatever works for you, but settling into a forward fold, seated forward fold here, tucking the chin and letting the forehead lower towards the knees. We'll feel a nice long stretch through the connective tissue all the way up into the back of the neck. Take 3 more slow breaths here. Feeling the ground running from the heels to the sit bones. Feeling the sensation through your legs. And then slowly rolling back up. We'll settle into a seated twist. This time bending first the left knee. We can have our left foot right next to our knee, or if we'd like a little more intensity for the twist, we can put our left foot on the opposite side of the right knee. We're going to hug the left knee into the body and slowly turn in the opposite direction, letting the left hand support the body behind us and gazing over the left shoulder. Remembering you can always come out early or make adjustments, make it work for you. But here, as we settle into the twist, if you would like to add a movement for your neck, you can slowly turn to gaze over the right shoulder and then slowly turn to gaze over the left. Moving slowly, moving mindfully. And then slowly releasing back to center. Take a moment to bounce the knees as we come back into center. Maybe roll the shoulders, roll out the neck. Take any intuitive little stretches you might like. And then repeating on the other side, maybe with the right foot on the inside of the knee, maybe on the outer right knee, or beside it, I should say, on the ground. Then with the left arm, we draw the right knee in towards us. Turn the chest to the right this time, right hand supporting the body behind us. Gaze over the right shoulder. Seeing if we can find again that long, slow breath, that feeling of slight release into the support of the ground. Letting the muscles of the face and jaw relax. Then beginning, if you would like, that slow look over the opposite shoulder and back, adding a very gentle twist for the neck, moving slowly. And then coming back to center, extending the legs. We'll prepare to move to the ground for Shavasana now. Some supports that might be helpful. Like I mentioned, the blanket under the head, or one of my favorites, a bolster under the knees. This can help the lower back release. So finding what might feel good for you, taking any last little stretches you might like as you let the body release towards the ground. Maybe dimming the lights in your space if you would like. We'll do a shorter shavasana of 3 minutes as we allow the body again to find the support of the ground along the length of the body, giving yourself permission to make this final resting pose work for you. If you would rather be seated or in constructive rest or continue gentle movement, you're welcome to do so. But see if, as we allow the body to rest and integrate the movement we've done so far, you can begin to scan from the tips of your toes to the crown of your head, holding your whole body in awareness. And if it feels supportive, again, with the extended exhale, to invite the body to release, to relax into the support of the ground. Permission to rest. Permission to let the breath be full and slow, to allow even the hands and the feet to relax, to soften, allowing the jaw to soften, the area around the eyes to soften, the muscles of the face to soften. So you just notice this feeling of support from the ankles up the length of the legs, all the way to the crown of the head. Nice big sigh to release into that support, inviting the body to soften as much as it would like to in this moment. As we begin to reach the end of our final relaxation, we'll take 3 more long, slow breaths here, allowing that wave of an inhale, that lift to nourish the body. Long, slow exhale to settle the body. And slowly, at your own pace, your own rhythm, I suggest first rolling onto your side, resting there for a moment before slowly pressing yourself up to seated. If you'd rather stay lying down, you're more than welcome, but I'll finish the practice with 3 repetitions of the mantra Om from a seated position. You're welcome to join in with this sound, even from that lying down, that resting posture, Shavasana. So as you come into your final seat or corpse pose, we'll invite back that long, slow breath. And just for a moment, notice the quality of your mental, emotional, physical energy, sensation. Remembering that baseline at the beginning of class, and just with with gentleness, with curiosity. What shifted? What feeling is notable now? Then as we're ready, with eyes open or closed, a long, slow inhale and Om. 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 Namaste. That's our class for today. Thank you for your practice.